7:15 p.m. on this TGIFF. Thank God it's Fasting Friday, and that's the fast end. All praise to the Father, Yah, and the Son Yeshua, and praise and peace and blessings to all my brothers and sisters as well out here doing God's work, planting them seeds in your household and outside. And as we do God's work, once the sun go down, we respect the Sabbath, no flesh desires, and for those as well too, who've been cleansing and detoxing all day. All praise to the Father for keeping you strong for them 24 hours. You understand? And that's for those that who cleanse their soul and detox and strip themselves with no food, no water, no drugs, no nothing. You understand? You afflicted yourself today, and that's a blessing, and that lets you know that you can do God's work. Because I asked a question earlier on live, and I asked people, do they have the willpower to do God's work? Go and watch the video, and it's just like how people just be so stuck in their flesh desires, they just don't understand because they just not really ready to just sacrifice things because you let your flesh desires hinder you from sacrificing, especially when it comes down to when you cleansing and detoxing your soul. You understand? But man, look at it's beautiful. But you always need to cleanse, and that's Yeshua had cleansed for 40 days and 40 nights. And I tell you in Matthew's 4. You understand? As he got tempted by Satan. You understand? And this is why a lot of people just don't do God's work because they know they get tempted and they don't have the willpower and they're not ready to sacrifice as well too. You understand? But for those that who are ready to sacrifice, then let's keep doing God's work to breath of life ends. You understand? And break that generational curse as well. Peace and blessings. How you be? So as we keep the Sabbath, be in tune with your family structure, your faith structure by keeping the commandments, and break that generational curse as well too. You understand? And this is what the Bible teaches us, to always respect God's creation. And as you see right here, this is the book of Genesis. Everything that you read in the book of Genesis, this is what God created. He created the water. He created the mallard ducks. He even created us on the sixth day. And today is on the sixth day as well, about to end. You understand? So this is why we always have to all praise to the Father. All praise to the Father, Yah, and the Son, Yeshua. Peace and blessings to those in here. How you doing? Peace and blessings. Yes, sir. Peace and blessings. How y'all be? And once again, prepare yourself for the Sabbath as the sun go down on flesh desires. And we already know that Genesis 2:2 tell us that the Father has sanctified this day. And as we know, when sanctify means separating this day. So this is how we have to separate from our flesh desires and be in tune with God's words and respect our commandments. And as we know, Exodus 28 as well too tell us remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So this is why we always have to keep this day sanctified, and this is a holy day as well too. So always respect the Sabbath. Be in tune with your faith structure and your family structure with your family. Rest into God's words. Don't be in tune with your flesh desires. And as the Father rested on this day, we can rest as well too. But we know the Father never rests. But at the same time, He had completed his work. So this is how we get judged. The Father judges by our works. Not by titles. You understand? So let's correct ourselves and understand our worldly imperfections by strengthening it, by getting your salvation. So peace and blessings to all those in here. I don't know what time it is on where you at, but it's 7:20 p.m. here. So the sun should be setting around like 7:45 or something like that. But I always just close it out like at 8 o'clock. You understand? And once that is the sun go down, it's completely done. That's when no flesh desires. Be in tune with the Bible. Be in tune with your family, and rest into God's words. And that's how you keep the Sabbath. You understand? So this is why we always have to break that generational curse. It starts from us. For all those that who are up in age, who are in their 50s and up, as the elders, we have to break that generational curse. As we know that we done our wrong in our past, but at the same time, now we have kids. Our kids is grown with kids, so we got grandkids. So this is why we have to break the generational curse and let those understand that our grandkids and our kids that our salvation is through. There we go. You understand? So always understand that your salvation started with you. All praise to y'all. Peace and blessings, peace and blessings, my good brother. How you doing, Strength? Oh, how you doing, Bilal? You said which corner of the world is this? Oh, well, we up north. No, we up north. Yes, sir. Yeah, you saying this up north? Yes, yes. Peace and blessings. How y'all day going? It's always a blessing receiving breath of life. And we already know that's our first blessing as well. You understand? So this is why we always correct ourselves. Every day that we correct ourselves, keeping the commandments, being in tune with your faith structure, with your family. And like I said, once again, as we know, that Genesis 2 tells us, and on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. So if we know that the Father had rested from the sixth day, and he already said on the sixth day at the end that everything was good. You understand? As he created everything. He said at the end of Genesis 31, 131 said, God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. In the evening and the morning was the sixth day. So we already know the day started on Sunday. But we already know Sunday is a paganism day. Sunday through Saturday is all paganism days. And that's from the Roman Greco. You understand? So this is why we have to deprogram ourselves from that Roman Greco calendar. This is why we have to deprogram ourselves of sanding days. You understand? And as it says 3 said, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. And as we understand, as the sin came in with 3. You understand? And that's when the deceive came in by the serpent. And we already know, as it tells us now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, ye have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So we already know this is how we got deceived. Eve got deceived, and this is how we got the imperfection. You understand? And this is when, from there, that's when it triggered off. So this is why we have to break this generational curse. And this is why we have to let our family know that, when this sun go down, we have to respect the Sabbath. And the same for those that, who's out here who have melon. You understand? We already know who's the chosen ones. And at the same time, we already know who God loves. And we know that God don't love everyone. That's why everybody don't serve the God of Israel, the God of all praise to the Father Yah. You understand? And it's just like, for those that don't praise him, this is why they don't respect the Sabbath. But for those who do praise, and for those who do have faith structure and family structure, and letting your family know that we are the chosen ones, especially for those who pick up the salvation and do God's work on a daily. Because God's work is on 365 days out of a year. Just not on no just no religion days. And this is not no religion. You understand? Y'all already saw what's going on with the religion on YouTube. You already saw their religion telling them to shut the doors and asking for money. We don't do none of that. We say, come to the Father and get your salvation. Fear God. But y'all fear flesh. But we supposed to fear God. You understand? So this is why we have to correct ourselves. And the more that you correct yourself and break yourself from all that paganism and breaking yourself from that flesh religion and start picking up your salvation with your family and those that you build with, man, you understand your salvation more than you think. You understand? But as we doing God's work, we got to stand on his word. For all those who come against his word, we have to let them know. You understand? So use your platforms as well too. Y'all always do God's work. This is how we receive our blessings. Don't let those out here trying to take God's words. They already did it with the paganism when it come down to that Jesus Christ. You understand? And you already know how Christianity is serving the pagan Christ, and as those in the same abomination, they serving the one with the rainbow. You understand? So this is why you have to ask people who they serve. You know, what's your God's name? You understand? Because a lot of people out here serving Satan, they selves, and other deities out here as well too. But we already know God separated himself because he already tells us in Exodus 20. And this is why we have to keep the commandments. You understand? And as you know the commandments, it already tell you. You understand? But at the same time as the sun go down, let me do God's work as well too, and always share that the commandments as well too. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children until the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord would not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within the gates. For in the 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and the sea, and all in there is rested in the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the seventh day and hallowed it. 12 tell us to honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God give thee. 13 tell us thou shalt not kill. 14 tell us thou shalt not commit adultery. 15 tell us thou shalt not steal. 16 thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 17 thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his manservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is in thy neighbor's. 18 tell us, and all people saw the thundering and the lightning and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking, and when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. You understand? And 19 tell us, and they said unto Moses, speak thou with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we would die. So we already know that God was talking to Moses, no one else. You understand? So them are the 10 commandments. And as we respect the Ten Commandments, respect the Sabbath as well too. And as we do God's work, once again, all praise to the Father Yah and His Son Yeshua. Once again, peace and blessings to the brothers and sisters out here doing God's work, planting up seeds inside your house, outside your house. Peace and blessings to those who come into the truth. It's about that time for you to get your salvation and come out your flesh desires. It's time for those to break your generational curse. For those who have melon, it's time for you to really pick this Bible up and understand this is who you're supposed to be serving as well too. And as we call ourselves Bible servants on this channel, I'll go as King Motivator Rock Ben Yah. And once again, all praise to the Father Yah and His Son Yeshua. And peace and blessings. And it's respect the Sabbath. And once the sun go down, you already know no flesh desires. So if y'all on here today, King Motivator Rock Ben Yah love you. God love us, but Proverbs 8:17 tell us that God love those that you know who love Him and seek Him early. And that's His 7:31. Do your due diligence. You understand? And your due diligence is by keeping God's commandments, breaking that generational curse. Sit down with your family, sit down with your kids, and always do God's work. And for those who have platforms, besides coming on here for the gossip, because as we know that YouTube just want to hear gossip, but they don't want to hear the gospel. For those who know God's words, it's time for you to use your platform. And once you use your platform, that's when you show people that you are serving. You understand? Besides serving flesh, as you see on YouTube, y'all already see with the religion. We see that how the dude said close them doors and he wanted $40,000. The Father want us doing that. You understand? When you do God's work, we don't ask for nothing. You understand? You fear God. You understand? And you keep His commandments and you break that flesh desires. Get out that paganism religion, as they call Christianity, and understand that you seek your own salvation through you picking up doing God's work by reading that Bible. If you want somebody else to read for you, you ain't gonna never understand your salvation. So break that generational curse, be programmed for being programmed. Peace and blessings and shalom. When the sun go down, God's